Um, that might have been a little too enthusiastic. I think I've been watching way too many World Cup games recently. It was a bit unhinged. I apologize. But yeah, I like soccer, especially the World Cup, and I've been watching it way too much, and I just finished watching a game, so I'm very amped up. Anyway, this is not a soccer channel, this is a book channel, and I want to talk to you today about Herkid. The hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, round 3.0, has just started this past week, and everyone is all abuzz because it's very exciting when a new round starts. It's aptly named. It is, I think, the hardest reading challenge I've ever found on the internet. It's a year long. This year it's 150 prompts. Maybe it's always 150 prompts, but it is literally 25 challenges within a challenge. And the challenges can be super bizarre. They can have up to many prompts, 26 to just one, depends on what it is, but you have to complete the entire bingo board blackout in order to win. Now, Cordy, or Stephanie, the host, has always said, this isn't really about completing the challenge, this is about doing your very best. And I think that that is, of course, always a great sentiment. I did, however, complete round 2. I am very proud of myself. I am shocked beyond belief that I finished. I did not expect to at all. I don't think I've read over 100 books in a year in like 3 or 4 years maybe. And that was before I had my vision loss incident. So I've been reading about 75 books a year for a while, and I think I read 93 for this challenge. So yeah, I did it, and I actually completed it 2 weeks early. So I'm very proud of myself. Thank you. Thank you. I am an exceptional human being. I can't believe I did it, honestly. Herkid has historically had a success rate of about 11 to 12%. So only 11 to 12% of participants actually win the whole thing and finish the whole bingo board. And I found that shocking. I don't know what the success rate for round 2 is yet. Those stats haven't come out. Cordy hasn't quite done a full video because people are still submitting all of their stats to her. And also I imagine it is just like a monumental task to take in all the information and stick out the data for everybody to know. But Herkid round 1 only had a success rate of 11 to 12%. Don't let that success rate scare you. It's not that bad. You don't need to win the challenge to complete the challenge. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have to fulfill every single prompt in order to have completed Herkid. So there are many people who completed Herkid, but they didn't win the full bingo. And that just means you stuck with it until the end. So if you just keep reading for a whole year, you finish Herkid. That was last round, and this is this round. And Herkid 3.0 is a whole new set of prompts. Everybody's excited, and they're posting all of their own planning and TBR videos. My YouTube personally is just glutted with everyone's videos of what I'm going to be reading for the upcoming challenge, my recommendations for the different prompts. And because of those videos, I was able to fill out my own predictions, or not predictions, planned reads, I guess, for this challenge. But I didn't really want to make my own video. I feel like there's enough of those. And I'm going to be giving you a video today, this is it, you're watching it, of the top books that I read for Herkid 2.0, all the books that I rated 5 stars while reading the challenge. And I'm going to give you the prompt that I read them for. And I'm also going to give you 3 different ways that it can fill the prompts for our upcoming or current Herkid 3.0 round. So if you're looking for recommendations, you'll get them there. If you are looking for the Herkid mashup prompt, you'll get that as well, because I'm going to be giving the prompts that I read them for the second round. But also, if you just don't give a rat's ass about Herkid and you're not participating in the challenge, you can just take these as book reviews, as recommendations, because they're all 5 stars. I loved absolutely every single one. And you can just take this as a recommendation video and a book review video. So we're covering all of our bases, which is my favorite thing to do. And yeah, let's get started. I'm going to be referencing my iPad because I have all of the info here about, you know, the different prompts and all of that stuff. Let's just get into it. Let's just get the books. All right, let's go. Here we go. Starting off strong. What We Carry by Amanda Gorman. You might know Amanda Gorman because I think she was the poet laureate for Joe Biden when he was in office. She read one of her poems at his inauguration, and it was incredibly stirring for a lot of people. She is a Black author, a Black poet, and I think she also has an auditory disability, maybe. She speaks about it a little bit in interviews, but she had many challenges writing poetry, and she has overcome them exponentially well. This is a beautiful work, a beautiful collection of her poems. They speak deeply about community. She wrote this in the very middle of the pandemic, so there's a lot of grief and sorrow and reevaluating how she feels about being isolated and being scared. There's a lot of politics as well, as you can imagine, political thoughts and musings, not really political discourse. But I read this and I was blown away by this. This is her debut collection, and I would recommend it. I read this, hold on. I used this book for, I think it was by the 100s probably, and the BIPOC prompt because she is African American. And I have to say, so the prompts for Herkid 3 that you could use this for, I personally would choose this for curriculum, probably for English or maybe political science, but primarily English because it is a book of poetry. And so, I don't know, I think that counts for English in curriculum. Maybe it doesn't, I don't know. I also could use it for 5 words in the title, Call Us What We Carry, and also, what's the other one? Oh, yes, the cover style is pretty unique. It's very text heavy and graphic, I would say. So those are my 3 prompts. Curriculum for English or political science, cover style, and 5 words in the title. So there we go. The next books that I read for Herkid that were 5 stars is a combination, actually. I read both of these. We've got A Psalm for the Wild-Built and A Prayer for the Crown-Shy. And I read these as a duology for my series Staircase prompt, as well as the 24-hour prompt. I read these both in 24 hours. These are absolutely beautiful. This is about a monk, a tea monk. It's a person who acts as a religious or spiritual leader, and as they make tea for the people who come for supplication, they also give them advice and listen to their troubles. And it's a really beautiful one. That's a beautiful career. How come that's not a real thing? I want to go to a tea monk so badly. But as they are traveling around, kind of questioning about what they're doing in life, do they really want to be a tea monk, they come across a wild robot. It's a robot that's just living out in the brush. And this is kind of it's a science fiction. So in this world, there was a great robot revolution where the robots said, we're not gonna do anything for you humans anymore. You've gotta let us go and live our lives. And they all kind of just ran off into the wilderness and became sort of like mystical creatures, and they're gone now. So society does not rely upon robots or computers anymore. And so this tea monk is traveling along, trying to be a tea monk, and they come across one of these old robots. This robot has never met humans before and is incredibly curious about the world. So this is the Monk and the Robot series. Yeah, I read this for my 24 hours in my series. I would have to say, if I am going to use these books for a Herkid 3.0 prompt, I would obviously go with the Choose Your Party prompt for Monk. Like, it's right there in the series title, The Monk and the Robot. The character is a monk. I would also choose it for biomes because we've got some forest trails here on the first one, and the second one has some really beautiful rolling hills as a biome. I think actually this one has, the monk is drinking a little cup of tea. So if you're really hurting for the food pyramid prompt, you could go for beverage as well. But I would probably also use it for 6 words in the title. Both of them have 6 words. So those are your prompts for that one. The next book that I read, I don't have a copy of it, I read from the library, and that is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. This is a beautiful nonfiction book it's just a collection of essays about things in life that John Green has come across and learned about, and he gives reviews. He rates them 1 to 5 stars, and they cover anything from the Canada Goose to the song Old Lang Syne to Diet Dr. Pepper. I mean, like everything in there. It's incredibly beautiful. I enjoy John Green as an author, but I particularly love his nonfiction. I feel like his nonfiction works are very strong. So the prompts from 2.0 that I read the Anthropocene Reviewed for were the nonfiction prompt, obviously, and also disability rep, because John Green discusses in length about his own disabilities in this book, particularly his really crazy depression that he experienced in early adulthood, as well as his ongoing anxiety that he is constantly treating. And so those are both representative in this book. So prompts for Herkid 3 for Anthropocene Reviewed, I would probably choose this for my bookception prompt. If you're looking for that prompt where there's a book mentioned in another book, the Anthropocene Reviewed mentions, I think, The Great Gatsby. So if you haven't read The Great Gatsby yet, you could use that here. What else? Oh, also, if you're doing the road trip prompt where you need a bunch of books from states that aren't California or New York, this is set primarily in Indiana. He mentions he lives in Indiana, and he really loves his community in Indiana. He mentions the NASCAR race, the Indy, and that is pretty vividly described. And so, yeah, you could use it for Indiana. You could also use this one for curriculum as well, especially social studies or humanities, because Anthropocene literally means of humans. So I thought that was pretty apt. And I personally, for Herkid 3, I'm using all nonfiction books for my curriculum prompt, so I like this one a lot for that. Low battery? How could you? We need you, iPad. You're one crucial moment. Ugh. Pull yourself together, man. Okay, the next 5-star book was really surprising to me. I was not expecting to use this for the Herkid challenge, actually. I just picked it up. It was a little bit later in the challenge when I wasn't scrambling for options, and I felt pretty confident about my progress so far. And so I just was like, hey, I'll just read a book and not count it towards Herkid right now. So I picked it up. I listened to it on audiobook. I thought I would just throw it on when I was just doing stuff to pass the time. And this book blew me out of the water, which is kind of what happens to the main character in this book. She gets blown out of the water onto a remote Antarctic island. It is fantastic. It is the story of, there's this family, it's the father and his 3 kids, and they are the keepers of this, the caretakers really, of this one remote island that has a seed bank on it to protect the seeds, because climate change is raging all over the world. And yeah, they stay there on the island. It's just the 4 of them. It's very lonely and eerie out there. And one day a strange woman gets washed ashore, and they're like, we are in Antarctica. There's no boats around. How did she get here? And the mystery goes from there. But it's more than just a mystery. It is deeply moving as well. I did not expect to love this book at all, but it turned out to be a 5 stars. I talk about it all the time. Anyway, I read this book. I ended up using this book for 2 prompts in the end, and that was for animals, because there are sea lions or seals, as well as albatross in this book. Particularly the daughter really loves animals and really connects with animals in this book. I also used it for award season prompt, because I think it was an entrant for some competition, some award, but I don't remember which one it was. So those were the 2 prompts that I filled in. For the Herkid 3 prompts, I would use this probably for biomes, because you've got the crashing waves on the front, so the ocean or an island. The shore is a biome you could use it for. I also would choose it for the pocket creatures, or like you gotta catch them all, because just like Celio, you could use this as either a water creature or an ice creature prompt. I thought that was fun because it is set in Antarctica and it is set on an island. So there you go, water and ice. And what was the last prompt? I'm trying to remember them by heart because my iPad is dying. Oh yes, I mentioned several times. It's set in Antarctica, so if you're doing different regions around the world for the regional prompt, you could use this as Antarctica, or, you know, Australia also counts. Here we go. Next 5-star that I read was The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Ifueko. This was also surprising because this is a young adult fantasy or romance book, okay? I do read young adult, I do read young adult fantasy, I read romantasy, I read all of those genres, but I so rarely give 5 stars to any of those genres. It just doesn't happen that often, but this was a banger, let me tell you. I probably would have been solidly obsessed for a long time with this book. If I read it when I was a young adult, I'm already a little obsessed with it. We have our main character, and she has a disfigured leg. It's a little bit shorter and it's twisted than the others, and she experiences chronic pain. She also grew up in an orphanage, and now she's been kicked out of the orphanage. This is set in a fantasy world, obviously, and it's kind of like a fantasy world loosely based maybe on African mythology. If you've read or heard of the Raybearers series, this is in that same universe, but it's not part of that series. It's a standalone. But I am absolutely planning on picking up that series because I love this book. Anyway, she is trying to find a job now, and it's really hard for her because she is disabled and she's an orphan, but she is determined, and I love the main character in this book because she is unstoppable. She also has terrible self-esteem that is beautifully recognized and fixed by the end. But yeah, and she accidentally, while trying to find a job, catches the notice of the crocodile god and falls in with him, and shenanigans doth ensue. I love this. I love this so much. I read this for disability because she experiences chronic pain as well as the disfigurement of her leg. So this was used for the disability prompt, and I also used it for, I think, my sub-genres prompt as well. My genre of choice was fantasy, and I don't remember what the subgenre was, but it might have been romance or something. Anyway, I used it for the fantasy subgenre prompt. For Herkid 3, what I would use this for, let me think. Oh, I would probably choose, there's actually quite a few good ones in here. I would probably choose to use this for Choose Your Party because the main character could be considered a bard. She has magic, she uses magic, and her magic is used when she sings, and she uses her voice to sing songs, and it helps her. I can't even explain, I'm not going to explain what her magic is, but she does use singing as part of the magic, and so that absolutely qualifies as bard. Also, you could use animal families because we got a reptile in the front in our crocodile dude. And also, it has a very beautiful painterly style for the cover. Can you see that? I really love this illustration style. So I think you could use this for cover styles as well. It's an illustration clearly, but it's realistic painterly style. I don't know. It's great. I love it. So there you go. I recommend you read that one. Just enjoy. I mean, obviously, I recommend that you read all of these, but that was a really good one. The next novella that I rated 5 stars was The River Has Roots. And I read this is by the same author who wrote How You Lose the Time War, which I mentioned in my last video actually quite a bit, which is one of my favorite books, so I obviously had to pick up this one. It was very, very good, 5 stars. And this is a story of 2 sisters who live in a village that is right on the edge between fairyland or fairy world, the fae world, and the human world, and the river that kind of is the border of these 2 worlds. It's kind of like a weird metaphysical idea, but they live right along that border, and there is a tree, a willow tree, that plays a very central part. It grows in the river, and they go out to the tree and they sing. They're both singers, and it has a beautiful love story between one of the sisters and a fae, and what happens when that sister gets lost or taken or disappears into the fairy world. And it's kind of like this story of sisterhood and that relationship that is so strong that even something as powerful as magic or death cannot break it. And it's how that connection goes through those trials, and it's really beautiful. Obviously, I read this book for the non-binary prompt for the queer alphabet because the fae character, who is the love interest of the main sister, is non-binary. Beautiful non-binary representation there. And I also read this for spooky creatures for the fairy prompt. For Herkid 3, I would use this for the pocket creatures fairy prompt. That was an easy one. Also, you could use it for the birthday prompt. If you were born in latter half of April, early part of May, your birth tree is a willow. So you could use that as well. The cover does have flowers, but I checked, it does not have any birth month flowers. The flowers on the cover are, strangely enough, dahlias, which don't feature in the book at all. I wonder how that decision came about. But yeah, you can't use the flowers as a birthday, but you can use the tree because it's like a huge central point in the plot. And finally, you could use this as choose your party as the bard prompt as well, because both of our main characters, the two sisters, are both musicians. They sing. There you go. That's The River Has Roots. All right, let's talk about maybe the biggest surprise for me in all of Herkid 2, and that was Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. This book took me by surprise. I was not looking forward to reading this. I hadn't really heard anything about it, but I knew generally that it was just a retelling of Macbeth, and I needed another book to fill my adaptations prompt in the bingo board. And Macbeth is my favorite Shakespeare play, so I thought, okay, yeah. And Lady Macbeth is a fascinating character in the play of Macbeth, and I was like, I'll read a retelling of Lady Macbeth's story. That sounds good. Oh my gosh, this was so good. So good. Yeah, I used it for the adaptation prompt, and I also ended up using it for the spooky creatures prompt as well for Shifter, because one of the characters, surprisingly, in this book is a Shifter character, very briefly. So yeah. But this is the story told from the point of view of Lady Macbeth, but it also weaves in many feminist ideas. It also villainizes Macbeth, who is obviously the hero of the original story, the original play. It explains a lot of what Lady Macbeth is thinking and her thoughts behind what's happening. And it goes a lot into its own story. It's not just a retelling. It is a remix, let's just be honest. It has a feminist point of view, and it's told, I think you could say, from the villain's point of view, because Lady Macbeth in the original play is really seen as just like a horrendous, absolutely moral black hole of a person. But in this book, it's really interesting how, what's the word? Maybe discriminated against, or that's not even the right word. Ostracized she is. But yeah, so you could use this as a remix. Quite fits that prompt perfectly. I really loved this book, man. I wish I could read it again for Herkid 3, actually. The other prompts that I would use this for is you could use it for the Gotta Catch 'Em All or the pocket creatures. We have for the dragon, we have a dragon shifter character in here. I feel like that's kind of a spoiler, but I guess not really. But it feels like a spoiler because when I read it, I was just like completely taken aback, and that's because I knew absolutely nothing when I read this. But yeah, remix, pocket creatures, and you could also use it for choose your party, probably for sorcerer. We've got lots of witches in this one. Lady Macbeth herself is a witch. We've also got the three, not titular, they're not in the title, but classic. 3 classic witches in Macbeth, you know, boil, boil, toil and trouble, witches over the cauldron. They're in here. They play a big part of this story. So you could use, you know, use the sorcerer's choose your own party prompt for this as well. Please, God, pick up this book. I can't tell you. It's just, I know that Ava Reed wrote a study in drowning, and I never felt any interest in that book. I don't even know if I feel interest now, but I'll pick it up because this was so good. That should tell you something. Let's talk about this book, you guys. This book has been making the rounds on social medias. This is The Names by Florence Knapp. This was actually the very first book that I read for 2026 this year. And I remember reading it and going, is it possible that I can read the best book of the year first thing out of the gate? Can I actually read the very best book of 2026 on the first day of 2026? And we're thinking, no, can I? I think I can, because this book was so good. I can't believe this is her debut novel. Like, what? She's gonna get better than this? I am automatically buying and reading every single book that she writes from here on out, because this is great. This is the story. It is 3 parallel outcomes, 3 stories. They're parallel stories. They're told in tandem, but they're all completely different universes or timelines of what would happen to this family if the mother, this severely abused mother, and that's not a spoiler, she undergoes terrific domestic abuse from her husband. If she takes her baby to the naming registrar in England, and if she names him what the father wants to name him, or if she names him what she wants to name him, or if she chooses to name him what her young daughter wants to name him. So this little baby grows up either with one of 3 names, and you learn the family's story and how it changes drastically just by changing one small thing, which is this small action that this mother takes to name her son either Julian, Bear, or Gordon. And it was absolutely gorgeous. I cried reading this book. I read this book for the award season prompt. It was a semi-finalist for something. I hope that it won something because it's really good. And for Herkid 3.0 prompts, I had to scramble a little bit because it doesn't fill too many, but I've got 3 for you. The first is we do have biomes here. We've got the rolling moors of England on the cover. Now, it has 3 different flowers on the front, and they're supposed to represent the 3 different stories, but I looked up every single one of these flowers, and none of them are birth month flowers. We've got a globe thistle, I don't know. I don't remember all of them, but, a scabiosa is one of them, and then, what's the last one? I don't remember. But they are birth month flowers. And I was like, are you sure that one looks a lot like a poppy? It's not. I'm sorry. But you can use it for biomes. We've got the rolling hills, kind of overcast as well. Also, if you were born in May, this book was published in May, so I'm telling you right now, if you were born in May, just read this book. Not because it has anything to do with May or you being born in it, but you have to read this book. So, yeah. I did find a good prompt filler for this one. And so in Herkid 3, we've got the not so secret prompts list. And one of those secret prompts was find a book who is a duplicate title, meaning there's another book out there, a completely different book that has the same title. There is a pretty well-known book also called The Names. I think it was published maybe in the 70s. So this is not the only one of its kind. And you could use it for that prompt. And yeah, it's a pretty good prompt because sometimes that can be a tricky one to find. Okay, another shocker for this past challenge for me, and that was The Outsiders. I read this specifically for my challenge yourself prompt, and that was where you just come up with a prompt for yourself where you have to set a challenge that you want to complete and then read other books to fit that challenge. My challenge that I chose was to read 10 modern classics. I really love the classics, but my modern classics is a little bit lackluster. I don't always enjoy them, and I don't tend to pick them up as often as I do the older literary classics. So The Outsiders is one of those classics. A lot of people read this in school, in high school. So I picked this one up. It's by S.E. Hinton. She was very young, like 17 maybe when she wrote this, which is crazy. Also, all of the characters in this book are freaking boys, man. they're boys, they're young men. She is a woman, but she gets into the mind of these boys like a freaking magician. It is beautiful. I love all the brothers. I mean, like, and Pony Boy in this book, he's my baby. I don't know how to tell you, but like my heart loves him so much. I don't know why. He's just a little punk of a kid in this book, but man. So this is essentially a book about gang violence in Oklahoma. We've got two different gangs, and they're really separated, particularly by class division. You've got the Soc group, which stands for like socialite, and that's like the upper class, more rich kids. And then you've got just like this scrappy other gang, which is what Pony Boy and his brothers are a part of, and they fight each other. And this story is really just like, it's about friendship, but also just, it's a coming of age story. It's about like growing up. There's a lot of commentary about violence, brotherhood, what it means to be a man versus trying to act like a man. It's just so good. I did not think I would, like, listening to the description of what this book is about, I was like, I'm not gonna like that. That sounds awful. It was so good. I don't know how I gave this 5 stars, but it is. I'm gonna read it again. So yeah, I read it for my Challenge Yourself prompts. I probably would choose this for the Herkid 3.0 prompt of choose your own party, because all of these characters in here, like every single one, is a street fighter. So you could go with either fighter or barbarian. I would probably go with barbarian because there's some like barbaric tactics in this book. Also, cover style option. This is like very interesting, the black and white graphic. Is this a photo? It seems like a blurry photo to me. But yeah, this is a very interesting cover style. So I would go with that as well. And also for the road trip or US states prompt, this is set in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Actually, all 3 of these books that I gave out 5 stars, these 3 last books, The Outsiders, this one and the next one, I read all of them for the Challenge Yourself prompt. They're all modern classics. And this book made me cry buckets, and that is Flowers for Algernon. I think this is another one that you possibly had to read in school. I know particularly it was one of the books that my English teacher gave us as an option to read for like an assignment where like not the whole class has to read it, but like you yourself have to choose from like a list. I did not particularly choose this one, but I've read it now, and man, I'm glad I didn't choose it back then because it would have been hard for my little high school brain to comprehend. This is a story about a man who is severely mentally disabled. He has learning disabilities. He has the brain activity, I think is how they classify it, of like a 5-year-old maybe. He doesn't have great comprehension. He has a very stifled life, and he is chosen to undergo this medical experiment that essentially just like raises his IQ exponentially over time. And it's a really poignant book. I really, really enjoy sad books, and boy, if you enjoy sad books, this is one for you. This man undergoes this huge transformation from so little understanding to being the smartest man on the globe. And his journey in just a few months of going from a certain level to another and actually outgrowing his mentors, becoming smarter than the surgeons that did the work on his brain, smarter than the people who had invented this medical procedure, is he goes through this period of feeling absolutely elated to feeling incredibly isolated, finding connection with people in ways that he never knew before, but also not being able to connect in ways because of what he's gone through. The reason it's called Flowers for Algernon is because he connects a lot with the study lab rat, whose name is Algernon, that he interacts with in this book. I read this for the Challenge Yourself prompt, but you for Herkid 3 could read it for several things, one of which being animal families. this is the cover of the one that I read from the library, but every single cover that I have found out there has a rat on the front of it, because Algernon is in the name. So you could use this for animal families and for rodent. You could also use it for the Chinese zodiac if you were born in the year of the rat. Oh yes, also this is a great one to read if you're looking for bookception again. As our main character in this book is becoming smarter and smarter, he's picking up and reading novels and many books that he was never able to comprehend before. And he mentions a lot of them. 3 that I remember in the book are American Tragedy, Look Homeward Angel, and Robinson Crusoe. And I've read Robinson Crusoe, but I haven't read the other 2, so I know that probably a few people also have not read those. That might be a good bookception choice for you. But also just read this book, guys. It will break your heart in a good way. So the last book that I read for this challenge altogether, this is the last book, this is what I signed off Herkid on, and that is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I read this for the Modern Classics prompt, and the reason I have not read this yet is because I thought that I really hated Ernest Hemingway's work. I thought I didn't like him. I thought that he was dry. I thought that he was stuffy. I thought that he was stuck up, which maybe as a person he was, but I read, what was it, the last what was the last Ernest Hemingway book that I read before this? Was it For Whom the Bell Tolls, maybe? I didn't like that one, and I was like, I'm never reading Hemingway again, and that was maybe 10 years ago. But I picked this up and I was like, look, it's short, it's tiny, it'll take you like 2 hours to read. It'll probably take you shorter. Just get it over with, you're almost done. It was my last book of the challenge. And guys, I was like, what? Ernie, like, what have you done to my brain? I thought that you were not cool. Turns out you are superior. This book was amazing. If you don't know what it's about this old man. One day, he's a fisherman. He goes out onto the sea to catch a fish. So it's the old man and the sea. And it's the story of how he's gone for days. He's trying to reel in this giant marlin. And I don't know, I mean, marlin fishing today, you don't go and do it on your own. Like, the boats are fitted out with like engines and like cranky fishing rods. Like, you don't do it with your own brute strength anymore. It's just like, you can't. But it's about this old man who does it. And this book took me on a wild ride. Even though it's just this guy out on the sea fishing, maybe it's because it's about the sea. I am really drawn to books about the sea or the ocean. If I see a book that's kind of like set on the ocean or about the ocean, I usually pick it up, or at least put it on my TBR list, because I just want more. I want more ocean. Maybe it's because I'm a water sign, possibly. But nothing much happens in this book, but everything happens in this book. Just pick it up and read it. It's like so much. It's not even, how many pages is this? Wait, these are like the afterwards and such. 123 pages, man. It'll take you like an hour and 10 minutes to read this. Just pick it up and read it. I don't know what to tell you. But this is The Old Man and the Sea. For this prompt, you could choose it for biomes. We got the sea. You could choose it for, this is my cover, which is just the sea, but I also have seen this cover as well, which has a ginormous fish on it. So you could use it for animal families, for a fish. You could also use it as food pyramid, as a protein, because in this book, the reason he is fishing this marlin is because he has to sell it to people for food. So it does have food on the cover. And those are my 3 prompts: biomes, food pyramid, and animals. And that rounds out my Herkid video for now. If you would like any videos of my upcoming progress or journey through Herkid, I love Herkid. I did not expect to like it this much. I joined the Discord community, and it is a wonderful reading community. I also recommend watching QWERTY's videos. I don't really have a similar reading taste to Stephanie at all. I did enjoy her books. She's an author as well. I did enjoy the one book that I read of hers quite a bit. She's super funny, has great energy. I love her channel a lot, so you should check her out, give her love and support, and join Herkid if it sounds like an interesting thing for you. If it does not sound like an interesting thing, read one of these other books just because reading is cool. And that's it for now. I'm very tired and very sweaty. I might turn on my air conditioning and go to the store and get some ice cream. That sounds nice, right? Sounds good. And I will see you next time. This is not a stable desk chair. Prompts for Herkid 3 for oh my god. Gold chair. Herkid historically has a success rate. I cannot say that word. Success. Sorry, I'm organizing all of my little books. Ooh.